Legend Total War here, and today we've got a Rating Your Doomstack covering a chosen Doomstack. So we've got Archaon here, and the unit that I have in the past slammed the most in the Warriors of Chaos roster, the Chosen. Now the thing is here, the reason why I've slammed it in the past is because the Warriors of Chaos in Warhammer 2, for example, would primarily go up against missile-based factions. You know, the Empire, then the Dwarves, then Bretonnia, and then the High Elves, that kind of stuff. And Chosen would just not do that well, cost-effective wise, against loads of artillery and missile units just because they're so slow. However, in Warhammer 3, you're not necessarily going up against those factions quite so much. And we're going up against the vampire counts here, so the things that they would normally be weak against aren't necessarily being present here. Plus, they are ridiculously powerful in auto-resolve that I've got to wonder what battle difficulty. It is on very hard battle difficulty, so they're not getting auto-resolve cheats on that. They're just that powerful in auto-resolve. That's three armies of endgame crisis vampire counts. Although this army here has been caught in forced march, same with that one, and same with that one. So that probably lowers their bounce of power a little bit. But we can get a good idea of how effective they are when we just charge in here, because there's no special cheese that we do with them. You just throw them into combat. So what he's done here is he's gone half and half with Chosen of Nurgle and Chosen of Tzeentch. You go with the Nurgle for, I guess the front light, like the center, for just straight up armor piercing. And then the Chosen of Tzeentch for the anti-large. So if we have a look at the difference, yeah, 26 bonus versus anti-large. Definitely lower weapon strength. Plus you've got magical attacks on the flank there. The Chosen of Tzeentch halberds is more expensive than the Nurgle great weapon. Looking at stat differences, they got higher melee attack, but the other ones here have higher melee defense. I actually feel like the Chosen of Tzeentch are better, because they've also got the barrier on top of it. So 1,250, where these guys here might have more health. But yeah. What about their resistance? So 5 and 12, and 5 and 12, right? And then there's a bunch of heroes in here, which, cool. And then there's Archaon. But basically what we're just going to do here is just charge in, and just see how well they do. So we'll see if Chosen can redeem themselves. Although, I've used Chosen a fair bit in Warhammer 3, because there's a whole bunch of different varieties of them now. They definitely feel a lot better. And also, melee infantry are a lot more viable in Warhammer 3 than they were in 2. Largely because melee cheats have been severely reduced on the AI. Same thing with the experience. This is a big factor for melee infantry as well. In Warhammer 2, most of the armies that you went up against had like max veterancy straight away, because they would just gain ridiculous amounts of experience. But in Warhammer 3, they don't gain passive experience. And so you're not going to find armies that are always 9 tiers of experience. Alright, so we'll set things up with Nurgle in the center and Tzeentch in the flank. I gotta wonder though, how his authority is doing with this, because these are mutually exclusive. They hate each other. So we'll see how that goes. So we've got two Nurgle heroes here, and a Tzeentch hero. I didn't have a look at the authority. You guys would have already seen it, but I didn't check. It's not that important. Well, it is if it's in the negative, but we'll have a look at the end of the battle. Yeah, just charge in. In fact, why don't we just not even use the heroes? Let's just see how they do. But Legend, you're supposed to use the heroes. Well, we'll see. I'll bring them in if they start to struggle, but we'll see.
Ready for agony.
Alright, that terrain's actually kind of shit. We need to, yeah, if we really want to sort of cheese this, I'd go stand over here, but that's fine. I'll tell you what, we'll use the wizard, but I'll only use buffs and debuffs. I won't use any damage dealing spells. Yeah, even rushing at them, Chosen are pretty damn slow. Yeah, this cliff here is a bit of an issue. I don't really know why you put a metal wizard in here, considering that Archaon's also a metal wizard. And he's got the two sort of best spells, Searing Doom and Transmutation of Lead.
Enchantments charged.
Yeah, I don't know why you put a metal wizard in here.
It brings melody.
This doesn't really matter that much. I'm sure it's just for authority. Come on, guys. Move up there. Bloody hell, they're slow. So yeah, we don't want to blob up. There's no real need to. I guess we could.
Forces of change.
Yeah, I just don't really feel like we need to. So yeah, we want the forces of Zinch to be taking on the single entities and large units. But really, I think they could just take on anything. I do feel as though this would be better if it was all just Zinch. For one thing, they'll have a lot more speed. And barrier is really bloody good. Which I think it's better to have more barrier as opposed to more health. Plus they've got that bonus versus large. No, they don't quite hit as hard as the Nurgle ones, but still, they're still hitting hard. Alright, what are we doing this one over here? This map here looks like shit. It's really dark. Alright, let's bring it over here and start popping down some buffs.
Serve the Plague Father.
Yeah, one of the problems that Chosen will have is that they have a hard time picking their engagements because they're really slow.
We are the Plague.
Chosen of Nurgle.
So yeah, could use Final Transmutation, but I find that to be a pretty ineffective spell for the Winds of Magic cost.
The schemer's servants.
Plus the Chosen of Zinch have magical attacks, making them a lot better against the Cairn Wraiths. It's quite possible that the Chosen of Nurgle will still end up having dished out more damage by the end, but I also suspect that they will have received more damage. So try to wrap around this a little bit. I'm so goddamn slow.
Chosen of Nurgle. We are the cunning.
Chosen of Zinch. Their purpose is served.
Should I bring in Archaon? I don't know. I just want to see if the Chosen can handle it, because it's not a disaster battle. He's here to test this out, and the Auto Resolve gave us a victory. So I feel like we can handicap ourselves a little bit. So yeah, the Nurgle ones are definitely taking more damage than the Zinch ones.
Mutation is a gift.
And it's not like the Chosen of Zinch can't hold their own against Graveguard. They definitely can. They're a bit too blobbed up over here.
Despairing tower.
Took out enemy Lord like it was nothing. Guess I could bring these two over here now and just provide a little bit of healing, because I think they've got the Locus of Fecundity.
Plague and filth.
Both of them do. Yeah.
Agony and
It's still so
ecstasy.
slow. 24 speed is... That's like zombie level speed. It's not good.
Chosen of Nurgle.
Okay, probably use a little bit of backup over here.
Move on them.
Of course, it'll take them about 20 minutes to get there.
Move.
So yeah, this is not really the kind of force you want to be using for flanking. It's just so slow.
Ready to
Fucking hell.
defile.
Yeah, go fight this thing.
They die. Spread Nurgle's love.
But then again, I guess it's good if you don't have much micro, because the battle is basically being fought in slow motion here.
I bring a tempest.
The Plague Lord's wrath.
Serve the Plague Father.
I think you should come over here and help this guy out. Yeah, they're just taking on a bit too much there.
Rupture flesh.
Right, this is pretty much done here.
Agreed. Very well. Move with guile.
That's pretty cool.
Chosen of Nurgle. Make them
But yeah, it probably would have been better to test this up against like a faction that had a lot of artillery, like maybe Skaven.
Guided by
Going up against the
chaos.
Vermintide, I think it would have been a little bit more of a challenge for this.
Plague and filth. Cinch sees all.
Chosen of Nurgle. Glorious mutilation.
Getting Plague Claw catapults shooting at you would be an absolute nightmare for this army. You'd just be so slow moving up there. That's where the barrier would really come in handy.
Instruments
Okay,
of
they've done that.
deception.
Nurgle guides us.
Alright, so the Nurgle ones actually ended up taking less damage than the Cinch ones, but that's because this guy here was put really into the thick of it by
The
himself.
schemer's servants. Their purpose is served.
Alright, we got reinforcements coming in over this way.
To ruin.
Infinity for all.
Nurgle's reckoning. Acolyte of change. Chosen of Nurgle. I feel no pain.
Beautify them.
Okay, maybe I should pull this one out now.
Clowns on the sheep.
Yeah. So he did a measly 359 kills. Mostly against Graveguard. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. Considering he was basically here by himself. Yeah,
Chosen
reinforcements are
of
coming in.
Nurgle. We are the
Whoever here
cunning,
gets your barrier back. I don't think we need him for the rest of the battle. I'll just leave him over here.
exalted hero of Nurgle. Our father, behold!
Yeah, I'm not trying to use these guys here for dishing out damage. We're just here for
We are the foul. We
get
are
the Zinch ones over here on that Mortis engine. Yeah, we really want to avoid a blob with that.
Chosen of Nurgle.
That stuff. We'll
Make
deal with that.
cadavers.
guided by chaos.
The Plague Lord's wrath. Warping energies. Onwards. Arcane torment. Chosen of
Move this one out of it. We want the bonus versus large in there.
Dies, but they will rot. Utility for all.
Mutation is a gift.
Instruments of deception.
Yep, that's going well
Chosen
there.
of Cinch.
I guess another thing with this is that you're not going to get chosen in the early stages of the campaign. Because in Warhammer 2 you can get chosen spams a lot earlier. Since they're all, like, tier 3 or tier 4 and you can just recruit them just anywhere.
Mutation is a gift.
But in Warhammer 3 they're a lot rarer. It takes a lot longer to get a unit of chosen. And so what you could do
Agents of
is
change.
just not use it against the factions that are particularly strong against it.
Chosen of Cinch.
Everybody loves going up against Vampire Count Endgame Crisis, it seems. It'd also be fairly good, I guess, against Tomb King Endgame Crisis. There is no Empire Endgame Crisis, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's get in there with that one.
I saw. Chosen of Nurgle. Annihilate them.
I don't think it'd be great against the Vermintide,
Show me blood.
because of all their missile attacks and Deathglow Bombardiers and that kind of stuff. That would just not be good
Chosen
for you.
of Cinch.
The schemer's servants.
Covering ground.
I've only lost 2 entities, so if I pop in there a bit of a heal, we could probably save quite a few lives.
Blessings of war.
No, I said I wouldn't use these as damage healers. Although they would be good for dishing out that kind of stuff.
Exalted
You could
hero
just come over
of
here.
Nurgle.
Stay away from the Mortis engine. We only want like one unit fighting
Chosen
it.
of Nurgle.
He's handling it.
We are the plague.
Slaughter. Marching.
Okay, if we can finish up all of this, we can spread out a bit more. We've sort of degenerated into a bit of a blob, which tends to happen in this game as units will gravitate towards the center of a fight, which just means that blobs do happen the longer fights go on, unless a break happens. And these units are too slow to try to pull them back to get out of a blob. Nor is a blob really something that you should avoid. It doesn't make that big a difference.
Move with guile.
And there's the army losses. Well, 3 full stacks dealt with. Didn't even use Archaon. Used a handful of spells, didn't even feel like I even needed to use it. And we barely took any damage whatsoever. If we have a look at the damage dealing, yeah, I think the Zinch ones outperform the Nurgle ones significantly. They still did really well. This could have very easily taken on a 4th army, no problem. Of vampire counts at least. But yeah, I think it would struggle a little bit against Skaven if they had a lot of missile units. Skaven or Empire. If you're going up against early game Empire, I guess it's not too bad, but as soon as they start getting Hellstorm rocket batteries, that's when you gotta really worry, and you gotta try to waste their ammo before the engagement begins. But it really isn't as big of a concern as it was in Warhammer 2. Kislev will be alright, just gotta watch out for, I think, Ice Guard. And the sleds, but everything else would be fine. Dwarfs should be okay, apart from if they've got loads of artillery. Because at least you can kind of outrun the dwarves. If you're going up against dwarves, don't bring Nurgles, too slow. But dwarves don't really use skirmish mode. Just trying to think. High elves, yeah, hit and miss. It depends on what you go up against there. Like if they got low tier archers, they're not going to penetrate your armor. But if they've got Sisters of Avalon, which the AI tends not to build, it really comes down to endgame crisis. They're only really the ones that are going to be able to handle this. So I think of the endgame crisis, greenskins wouldn't be a problem. Dwarfs would be a bit of a problem. Skaven would be a big problem. Vampire count's obviously not a problem. They handled that like a champ. We lost the equivalent of 1 unit, which we just instantly heal anyway. The thing is, it's super strong in auto-resolve, and it's super strong in manually resolve. It's actually better in manually resolve than it was in auto, and it was really good in auto. Look at that, no damage done. Yeah, okay, in terms of authority, yeah, so he's at 9 with Nurgle and 5 with Zinch. See, these guys here, they would be dropping down the Zinch authority quite significantly as well. I could definitely see why you put in the Exalted Heroes of Nurgle, because in my opinion, the Exalted Heroes of Nurgle are the best ones, but I just don't think this army needs it. It's good, don't get me wrong, it's really, really good, but if I was to make adjustments to it, I would have gone full Zinch. The Zinch chosen are better. Yeah, barrier's better, anti-large is better, magic damage is better. You've also got the Warp Flame here, which will, if you had a Fire Wizard, that'd also be really useful. Burning Head, and be careful about Flamestorm near them. I would have just gone one or the other. Either go full Nurgle or full Zinch, but I think putting conflicting ones in here, I don't think that was a good call. And they didn't really complement each other that much. Because, yeah, these are armor piercing, but these ones are armor piercing as well. It's just that these guys here have more utility than the Nurgle ones. So, okay, in terms of rating it, let's see. In terms of practicality, it's pretty practical because Marauders are everywhere. You will eventually get access to Chosen. It just takes a while for that to happen. I do think that the divided ones are probably better than the undivided ones overall. It's just a matter of whether or not you're specializing your lords with the authority, because you want to be reducing the upkeep cost. It's not that big of a difference, but also you want that casualty replenishment rate, because that was a fairly easy fight. But there's going to be occasions where you go up against something that's going to do some sort of artillery damage on you, and you're going to take a lot of casualties, and that's where you're going to want that extra replenishment rate. But yeah, so yeah, practicality is pretty good, not like 100%, because you could also switch these over to where is it, Warband. You could also, no, sorry, if you've got divided ones, you can't switch them to being aspiring champions, can you? And aspiring champions are... Because you can get them... the moment you get a chosen, they can immediately become an aspiring champion. And if you've got all the techs, aspiring champion are probably better than chosen, although they were really good. But for Archaon specifically, he doesn't boost aspiring champions, but he does boost chosen. Melee defense and physical resistance. It's not heaps, but it adds up, I suppose. So yeah, practicality, it's hard to gauge. There's loads of better stacks, I think, that you could build, you know, with melee infantry. But it's still good. So practicality, like mid. In terms of strength, it was pretty good. There are some armies that I think would give it a hard time. We went up against an army that didn't give it a hard time because they didn't have missile attacks and weren't using magic. But if we went up against, like I said, Hellstorm rocket batteries, Plague Claw catapults, rattling guns, Poison Wind globadiers, that kind of shit, that would give you a really hard time because of your inability to catch them, and you'd have to rely very heavily on the heroes in that case, which is fine, but if they've got too much of that stuff, it can be a problem. In terms of how much it costs, it's fine. So strength is kind of like, it's strong. It's strong, but not like the strongest ever. And ease of use, melee infantry are pretty easy to use, especially slow ones. You just don't have the opportunity to really utilize your micros since the battle happens quite slowly, especially with speed of 24. So in terms of rating it, it's not getting top marks on any of the three criteria, but it's good marks on all three. Like, it's a good overall, very easy to replicate sort of Doomstack. But if one big complaint would be specialize one particular mono god, or don't put conflicting mono gods in there. Like, if you want to do Tzeentch, then maybe team them up with either Khorne or Slaanesh. If you want to do Nurgle, then team them up with anyone but Tzeentch. Don't put conflicting ones in there. I don't think that's a good idea. Because if you do Nurgle and Khorne, then you can put these guys in here, and it's fine. And then you could just not dedicate this one to Tzeentch, and that way... Oh wait, if you put... Yeah, if you don't put a dedicated one to Tzeentch, then it will be anti-Khorne. So if you're gonna have this exact hero loadout, you want to go Nurgle and maybe Slaanesh. If you want to maintain full authority. It doesn't make them any stronger, but replenishment rates are important. Anyway, that's the end of this one here. Let me know in the comments below what you think. There's so many different ways that you can mix and match your Warriors of Chaos armies. But yeah, Chosen are so much better in Warhammer 3 than they were in 2. Like, they just ripped those vampire counts to shred. And that was endgame crisis stuff, I'm fairly sure. Yeah, see, I can't open up diplomacy with them, indicating it's endgame crisis. That's not super late in the campaign. You could get this earlier, I suppose, and it's very elite. So yeah, it's a good, solid Doomstack, but it's not like a 10 out of 10. It's just a good, solid one that's very easy to replicate. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Appreciate you, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.